Order. Question number 12, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Justice. Does she know the name and employing department of the Chinese official that she had dinner with in Beijing on 20 October 2013 on her ministerial visit to China? If so, is the reason that she has refused to tell the House that information because she believes it is not in the public interest to do so?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, I have no ministerial responsibility for that matter.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order. Order. Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, this question was submitted in the normal way through the Clerk's office and to you. It was accepted, therefore the Minister must answer the question. She has ministerial responsibility.
Order. Yes, I want to draw to the Minister standing orders and Speaker's ruling where she has a duty to answer a question. That answer is far from helpful to the House. She can answer it in any way she likes, but to simply say she has no responsibility when the question has been authenticated in a process to be put on the order paper, I think is most unsatisfactory. I'll invite the member to repeat the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is...
Order. I'm sorry, I have a point of order from Jerry Brownlee. Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
What then does that do for the interpretation of Speaker's ruling 1531? Which basically says that the primary condition for asking a question of a minister is that the minister has ministerial responsibility. The subject matter of the question, for the subject matter of the question, if there is no ministerial responsibility, there can be no question. An opinion that is sought from a minister must relate to a matter for which the minister has responsibility. Now, Mr. Speaker, what it goes further to say on that same page is 153, which says the Speaker has no way of knowing which minister is responsible in his role as Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, what I am concerned about here is that the only person who can fully know where ministerial responsibility stops and starts is the minister themselves.
Order.
If they say, in fact, no, I have no ministerial responsibility for that, in the past there has been a decision made that the public would make a judgment about that, not the opposition.
Order. The difficulty I have with that argument from the member is that there has been a series of questions now for some weeks, and the Minister has on many occasions addressed the question, and to my satisfaction. So I don't think at this stage she can now claim she hasn't got ministerial responsibility. I don't accept that, and I can equally refer the member, the Honourable Jerry Brownlee, to rulings particularly on page 1731. And it's a relatively lengthy ruling, but I will read it for the benefit of the Minister. A Minister must give an answer if it can be given consistently with the public interest. The Minister is instructed under Standing Order 3831 to consider the public interest in framing a reply, and considering consistency with such public interest, the Minister may address such matters, principles as privacy, commercial sensitivity and national security. But ultimately, the judgment and whether a particular reply is consistent with the public interest is for the Minister to make and not for the Speaker to make. It is not a matter for the member asking the question to suggest that because the member considers the matter to be a matter of public interest, the question should be answered in a particular way. I am going to ask the member to repeat the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Justice. Does she know the name and employing department of the Chinese official that she had dinner with in Beijing on 20 October 2013 on her ministerial visit to China? If so, is the reason that she has refused to tell the House that information because she believes it is not in the public interest to do so?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, it was a private dinner. I have no ministerial responsibility to explain it.
Supplementary question.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, in your ruling on the Minister's first attempt to answer this, you made mention of the fact that we have had a number of questions about this. You also granted an urgent debate, in fact, around these matters because, as is put in the question, this was a ministerial visit paid for by the taxpayer. For the Minister to now decide that she doesn't feel like answering the questions is not acceptable. It is a breach of standing orders.
No, I can't assist the member to that extent. It is certainly not helpful for the Minister to take this attitude, but I want to refer to two further Speaker's rulings in this regard. It is not obligatory on a Minister to answer a question. It is certainly customary, but there is no sufficient reason for saying it is binding. And furthermore, 1734 The Speaker cannot force a minister to give an answer to a question and has no responsibility for the quality. I think it is a very unsatisfactory answer that has been given by the minister. I'm not responsible for that. This House and the public will judge that for themselves. But I invite the member now to continue with his supplementaries, and I give him one additional supplementary as well. Grant
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Did she discuss with the directors of Aurovida what the role of the Chinese border official was before she left New Zealand?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, it was a private dinner. I had no ministerial responsibility for it.
Point of order.
Order.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Point of order. Honourable Trevor Mallow.
Mr. Speaker, sorry, I thought my colleague was going to take a point of order. It was a very direct question, and it asked about an action to do with a particular individual, and it had to do with before she left New Zealand. It was nothing to do with something which actually occurred at the dinner. It was a question about whether she received any advice on this matter from the directors of the company before she left New Zealand, and it has been established, sir, previously in the House that she had discussions about this dinner before she left the country.
The Honourable Jerry Brown is speaking to the point of order.
Mr. Speaker, 151 is also 1512 is also quite instructive here, where it says that the minister primarily. Mr. Speaker, 1512 is instructive in so much as it says the minister primarily concerned is presumed to be the person to decide whether it is a question related to that portfolio or whether the question is misdirected.
Order. No, I don't need assistance on that point. I think today we've moved well past that, with my saying this question has been raised in various forms now for some considerable point of time, and at this stage of proceedings for the minister to now claim there's no ministerial responsibility, I have said to this House that in my mind is a very unsatisfactory answer. I invite the member Grant Robertson to ask his supplementary question again.
Supplementary question. Did the New Zealand ambassador tell her that he did not think it was appropriate for him to attend? Oh, sorry, do you want the previous question?
I'm inviting the member to repeat his other question.
I didn't hear you say that. Did she discuss with the directors of Aurovida what the role of the Chinese border official was before she left New Zealand?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, I took part in a private dinner. I do not have ministerial responsibility for that.
Order. Order.
Point of
we
order,
now have a point of order from the Honourable David Parker.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister has previously admitted in this House that she should have made reference to this in her report to the Cabinet after she made her visit to China. What is the remedy for the opposition in respect of serious allegations where the Minister will just not answer any questions?
The remedy available is for the member, Grant Robertson, to continue his line of questioning. I can't force the minister to answer the question. I'm not responsible for the answer, but as I said earlier, people will judge the answers for themselves. Grant Robertson.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. Did she tell the New Zealand news media that she should have put this dinner in her formal trip report to Cabinet, thereby making it a matter of ministerial responsibility?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, actually I shouldn't have, because the Cabinet Manual makes it very clear. The Cabinet Manual makes it very clear that only matters of importance should in fact be put in. And in fact, when I had a look at the manual, I noticed that actually having dinner is not something that anyone would consider a matter of national importance, unlike that member might think it is.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. Order.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. My question was a specific one. I asked, did she tell the New Zealand news media whether...
On this occasion, I'm ruling that the minister has actually addressed that question. I invite the member to continue. Order. I invite the member at this stage to continue with supplementaries.
Did the New Zealand ambassador tell her that he did not think it was appropriate for him to attend this dinner?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, I have no recollection of the ambassador saying that to me.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker.
Order. I'm just... Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Did Stone She ask her not to name the official who was at the dinner?
Honourable Judith
Mr.
Collins.
Speaker, this is a private dinner and I have no ministerial responsibility for it.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Why was she prepared to say that the official at the dinner was from a border control agency, but she's not prepared to say what border control agency?
Honourable Judith
Mr.
Collins.
Speaker, I advised the media because that was the advice I received from the Prime Minister's office.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Order. Supplementary question. Order. Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Was the Prime Minister wrong to give her that advice?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, one day that member might realise that Prime Ministers are always right.
Supplementary question,
Supplementary
Mr. Speaker.
question, Grant Robertson.
Was the senior Chinese border official at the dinner someone who could influence whether or not Aurovita's products could enter into China?
Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, it's a private dinner. I've got no ministerial responsibility for it.
Supplementary question, Mr. Speaker.
Order. 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 I think in actual fact the member may well have found his number of supplementary questions has expired.
Well, given the ridiculous answers I've been getting, Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to be allowed to ask one more question.
No, I don't think suggesting seeking leave would be a good idea for the member. What I will allow, because there was some confusion earlier, I will allow one more question.
Can she confirm that she believes she has no obligation to the New Zealand taxpayer to tell them the name of a senior Chinese official that she met with, along with her husband's fellow company directors, at a dinner arranged before she left New Zealand, despite taxpayers shelling out $30,000 for her to go on that trip?
Well, Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Judith Collins.
Speaker, I have no obligation to discuss a private dinner not paid for by the taxpayer at absolutely no expense to the taxpayer.
Order. 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 That concludes questions for all answer. I call on Government Order of the Day number 1.
Veteran Support Bill, second reading.